Okay, Bungie, Epic, EA, and Riot Games. Why didn't you guys just come out and just say, we don't want to support Linux, we want to support Windows? Why didn't you? I'm going to say this again. Bungie, Riot, Epic, and EA Games. Why didn't you guys just come out and just say, we don't want to support Linux, we want to support Windows? Why beat around the bush? You know, why blame cheaters, modders for your problems? Why didn't you just come out and say, we don't want to support two platforms at the same time, meaning Windows and Linux? We just want to support Windows. Why did you guys just say that? Oh, your pride got in the way. Okay, all right, I got it. All right. Oh, by the way, hello viewers, me again. Another beautiful day. Hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good or excellent. But you know, yesterday I was sitting there looking at this whole Apex Legends situation, and this really has nothing to do with modders and cheaters or nothing like that. This is EA having is having their own subscription service. Listen to this. I got two articles here. One from one from neowin.net. One from neowin.net, and then the other from PC Games N. I'm gonna get both of them. Let's see if I can get this here. Because what they're doing is just making excuses. All they had to do was come on and just say, look, we're just supporting the Windows platform, okay? Instead of making all these making these excuses. Let me deal with the one from PC Games N first. It says this: Steam Deck game support for Apex Legends is no more thanks to EA and Linux ban. It says, while the game hasn't moved over to EA anti-cheat, a decision has been made to apply a blanket ban to Linux OS impacting Valve's handheld. Yet another title under the EA umbrella has taken steps to block Linux OS gaming PCs. And it says, and the Steam Deck from being able to access the game, but you can use Windows to do it though. But anyway, it says here, Apex Legends team posted an update blaming Linux for the high portion of impactful exploit and cheats leading to this drastic action being taken. It says here, the Steam Deck is still the best handheld gaming PC, but the recent loss from the platform of multiple EA games with online features can't be ignored. It says this also comes off the heels of Grand Theft Auto 5 on Steam Deck suffering a similar fate, with GTA Online no longer accessible on Valve's handheld. And in a post on X, formerly Twitter, and following the update was posted, we're sharing today's that Linux, and then it says in parentheses, and the Steam Deck using Linux will no longer be able to access Apex Legends. It says the post goes on to state that the team has identified Linux OS as being a pathway for a variety of impactful exploits and cheat. Given that many EA games have recently adopted EA anti-cheat, which exclude Linux by default, it was expected that Apex Legends might make this move at some point, given that it's one of the last EA published online games. Without it, this isn't the case, but the existing Apex anti-cheat is instead being modified. It says the post admits that the portion of Linux players is small, but then claims that the impact was too great to ignore, bringing about the ultimate decision to ban the operating system entirely. It goes on to point out that it was no way to differentiate the legitimate Steam Deck from a malicious cheating claim to be a Steam Deck via Linux. As such, it has implemented this blanket ban. And then it says the Steam Deck user base is quite small in the grand scheme of things, even if it if it's a hard to distinguish an exact number, sorry about that, of players, but still amount to a large total. A best estimate has suggested that a 1.5% of mostly Steam users play on Steam Deck, which would total around 1.45 million players. And then it says, meanwhile, looking at the Steam Deck most played chart for the past year, Apex Legends sits at 48th position, down 24 spaces from the previous year. It's been a fairly consistent platform on Valve handheld, but will soon drop off the list entirely thanks to the latest development. And then it says, if you want to know which games can still be played on Valve's portable, then check out the list of best Steam Deck games, which features games we've tested for your peace of mind. All right, now to go on, let's see here. See if I can pull up. Let me pull up the NeoWin article. One person said this. See if I can get this here, because he, to me, Riot, Bungie, EA, and Epic should have just came out and said, okay, we're going to support the Windows platform, not Linux, instead of making this big old fake story that's not even real. Anyway, let me see if I can pull this up, see if I can find it. Where is it? Come on. Here somewhere. Let's see here. Jay said this. It should be noted, it's not to stop cheaters. They are just moving away from easy anti-cheat to EA's anti-cheat, which doesn't support Linux. That's it in a nutshell. Now let me tackle the NeoWin's article, so I can get this here. It says here, Apex Legends pull Linux and Steam Deck support to stop cheaters. But this is not about cheaters. This is just about supporting Windows platform over Linux. It says here, one of the biggest contenders in the Battle Royale space is Apex Legends, and thanks to its use of easy anti-cheat, Linux and Steam Deck players have been able to play the game via Proton for years now, something that many other high-profile multiplayer games block. However, all that stops now. EA and developer Respawn Entertainment are officially pulling Apex Legends support for the platform entirely due to cheating and exploit concern. Then it says, in our efforts to combat cheating in Apex Legends, we've identified Linux OS as being the path for a variety of impactful exploit and cheats. EA said in the community update post, as a result, we've decided to block Linux OS access to the game. While this will impact a small number of Apex Legends players, we believe the decision will meaningfully reduce instance of cheating in our game. Then it says, despite being a small platform in terms of players, Linux needs an outsized level of focus to combat cheats that will continue to come out of it. Then it says, we had to weigh the decision on the number of players who legitimately played on Linux/Steam Deck versus the greater health of the population of players for Apex Legends. So basically, this is just a Windows versus Linux. All they had to say was, we're going to support Windows and not Linux. But they try to blame the cheaters for it. But anyway, it says, while the population of Linux users is small, the impact infected a fair amount of player games. This ultimately brought us to our decision. And it says, the openness of the operating system make it an attractive one for cheaters and cheat developers. According to EA, some hackers has gone so far as to emulate their Windows cheat as if it's on Linux to make it harder for the detection team to catch the culprit. Following the immediate decision, Linux users can no longer access Apex Legends, which means Steam Deck with the default operating system on them are now locked out of the free-to-play game too. However, installing Windows on the device will once again make the game operational. So this is just a Windows versus Linux decision. This has nothing to do with cheaters or modders. They just made it up, and they were looking at the user base numbers. That's all this is. Now, let me look at the comments. I think we got what, 17? Where is it? Where's the comments? Comments. I just seen you guys. I know I got 17 comments here. 17. 17 comments. Okay, now where are you guys? Got 17 comments. Now, they said this. Good. Now I can play it again. That's James W. Right? But then Satukoro said this. This translates to we don't have any Linux dev. He said this translates to we don't have any Linux dev, and we don't really care about the handful of people on Linux. It says, while I understand their stance and it's a valid evaluation of cost/benefits, and the lack of dedication to Linux apps and games development in the bigger companies is unfortunately one of the things that is stifling Linux user-based growth. And then it says Zero said this. It's rather we're only able to build our way online multiplayer game in a way that the backend server is not able to control the game, and clients are effectively able to fool what's going on. If this was peer-to-peer, cheating would be a problem. This way, it is just terrible software architecture. All right. And then who is this? So Satukuro came back and said, unfortunately, I think implementing a client/server architecture where all commands from the client have to be vetted by the server would introduce enough latency to have a perceivable impact in something as fast-paced as a shooter. That same idea applied to an MMO worked great in practice. One example of the RuneScape where all calculation/command processing / anything important servers aside. However, the game operates in thick where everything happens in 60 millisecond window. Latency is not as important. And then Maverick said this. Not exactly true. Linux has always been a free dev OS, and even some Windows cheat software was built on Linux. The problem just happens to open itself that much wider when devs attempt to allow more users to access the game and increase their profits and or market share. This is why other devs do not want to play nice with Linux when it comes to these type of games, and some are now going to kernel level anti-cheat software, forcing Valve to change their policy to identify these games. And then Zero said this. Well, quite a different story for MMO as compared to shooters. Look rather like the backend share too much information with the client. The client can then exploit, or the client can manipulate the backend to issue invalid comments. Since shooters are rather based on physics, the second part could simply be remediated by checking such commands, movement, and shots, and making sure it is physical possible. Not talking about physics calculation here, just simple collision and distance for the first part, filtering. Then it says, I have seen proper architecture like this, that most games are not built properly and should not be an excuse to continue with this trend. And then it says, sounds like they killed a fly with a grenade. And then who is this? Hato Pie said this. To be fair, it isn't Apex Legends a kids game anyway. They're running the game on paper computer, which I bet has Windows on it. It's really to avoid all the shenanigans of cheats with that, as if it's on Linux. EA isn't losing any number here. And then, who is this? Dusto said this, I have no clue what this supposed to even mean. And Jay is like, rated T for teens if you want the official answer. And then, who was this? Parallax said this is, the funny thing is, Easy Anti-Cheat used to have Linux support, and then after Epic Games acquired them, they almost immediately removed said support without providing a reason. See what I mean? Says here, and then Dusto said this, no, that's not how that works. Easy Anti-Cheat had Linux support. Developer just need to have it enabled. Division 2 isn't supported Linux for years. It gained that a week after it came to Steam. EA and Respawn are just lazy, doing the typical Linux user are all cheaters. Anyway, and then Parallax said this, correct you are. Epic did discontinue Easy Anti-Cheat for Linux in 2020, but they brought it back, revamped in 2021. Missing that somehow, my bad. And then Maverick is like, you call devs lazy, but cheating is quite bad. It is affecting several games, causing some devs to reevaluate Linux as an option. Some of them are even moving to kernel level anti-cheat. This has in return caused Valve to require devs to indicate on their game page, which I talked about last week, if their games has kernel level anti-cheat built in. If we didn't have lazy, then there would be no problem. We all could enjoy playing no matter the platform. And then who is this? Old Guru says this, it was easier for them to implement anti-cheat system in Linux. And he says Eternal Tempest, he says, with Microsoft now heading the direction remove things running at the kernel level after that little coward strike incident, I wonder what anti-cheat software makers are going to do. I'm guessing games and anti-cheat will have to go through some form of API that doesn't touch kernels. Ring O. Note, Apple did this already and have zero OS portions run from a read-only partition that gets reloaded after every full boot. This hasn't 100% stopped vulnerability, but it made it harder. And last comment, let's see, Kelly said this. No, Arcelli said this. They just want to blame Linux to cut cost. I admit I played this game on Linux heavily, and now I am forced once again to install Windows. And I was far gone from it. Now it pains me to even partition and slow SSD to play the game. I play it with a childhood friend. EA is crap, and this explanation is also crap. As other person instead said, they wanted to increase revenue from GAS, but they could not. So now they try to save pennies. And also, no, this is not a kids game, as some poster above mentioned. It actually has mature characters that are well beyond childlike, like Call of Duty or Battlefield games. But it's based on the mech game whose name I can't recall. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about Titanfall too, and that's both articles in the comments. Look, this has nothing to do with cheats or anything of that sort. The whole situation comes down to a Windows user base versus Linux user base. We're going to support Windows, but we're not going to support Linux. And then we're going to make the modders and the hackers and the cheaters take the blame for us to make the decision. That's what all this comes down to. So EA is not surprising anybody here, because they started this. they were doing this with Battlefield and all their games, right after Titanfall 2. So this is nothing new. And then if you want to throw Rockstar with what was it? Who's that? Is it Rockstar? With who's that? With Grand Theft Auto? they a few weeks ago they talked about they were working on improving things on the Steam Deck. So EA making this decision is their personal decision. They're worried about their their profit numbers and their sales numbers, and they were looking at, okay, which operating system has the bigger user base. Maybe they're thinking, okay, we need to support Windows, and then that will save us some money. That's what all this from not supporting Linux. That's what all this comes down to. So this is nothing new. So anyway, but companies like Capcom and is it Namco? They support the Steam Deck. It's just EA is using this as a publicity stunt to get attention. Anyway, I'm gonna leave this video for y'all to enjoy though. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still a Star Wars Star Trek fan. Board Dark Section. Gone. Peace. Let's go.